Well, hello. I've been trying to do reading requests, and this has been true for a couple days. When I try to do the readings, they're just not making any sense. And this happens every fucking once in a while. It doesn't last for very long. I'm assuming it has something to do with the weather, because for the last 5 days, there's been this really bizarre weather system, and it's a constant temperature and fog and mist, and like I haven't seen the sky for 5 days. Anyway, instead, um, I'm doing a coffee and a smoke with Fergus. So here's the coffee and the smoke. All right. So, if we were to meet at a coffee shop these days, I would tell you about something that I saw on my way up north to my uncle's funeral. So, my uncle died. I went up to this funeral last week or whatever. So, I'm driving north on I 35, and it's somewhere Hinkley ish. We're going to say just central Minnesota somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. So I'm driving, and about 20 feet above the shoulder of the road is this bird, about the size of a grouse, and I'm guessing it was probably maybe a foot and a half long, something like that. Um, Brown and white, but it was thinner than a grouse. So this thing, it's flapping its wings. Its body is horizontal like this, flapping its wings, and it didn't move one fucking inch, not 1 inch. And I had visual on this thing for about 10 seconds as I drove, looking at it. There it is. And then as I pass it, I look at it in the rearview mirror. It has not passed the shoulder of the road. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? So I did a bunch of research on birds that hover, and there are a couple birds that can do this. None of them in central Minnesota. Um, there's some kind of kingfisher that can do it, but even when they do it, their bodies are not horizontal, horizontal. Their bodies are like this, and their heads are down, whatever. This thing, straight as an arrow, like it was trying to fly. Now, then the first thing is, well, there must have been a wind. It was flying into the wind. But I was driving a boxy fucking F 150 pickup, and it would have been hitting me broadside. That wind would have hit me on the driver's side, broadside against the truck. There was no wind. And the trees would have shown that kind of wind, right? And the trees weren't moving at all. It looked like it was on a fucking string or something. Like maybe, and this is the only logical thing other than just some fucking weird paranormal shit. The only thing I can think of is that the bird maybe got wrapped up in fishing line, and maybe, like a fucking rapala or something was hooked on a tree like 30 or 40 feet back, you know? Um, and it just couldn't go any further. I definitely didn't see a line, but you wouldn't be able to see that anyway. But even that is a stretch. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So on my way up north, I just saw this bird flapping in air 20 feet up or so, and it didn't move an inch for about 10 seconds. That was weird. Now, this was the same general vicinity that 20 years ago, um, I saw. It was probably my first profound, we'll say, paranormal experience when I saw a demon wolf in fucking broad daylight. And I was driving up north. And in that case, my dad was dying. He hadn't died yet, so it wasn't for a funeral. But I was going up to see him because he was dying. Anyway, and I was an atheist at the time. I think that's an important part of this story. But I'm driving and I see this fucking bear, and it was the same. I was going north on I-35, and this was north of Hinckley. I know more specifically where this happened, but I see this bear on the side of the road, and its hind legs are in the ditch, and its front legs are on the shoulder. And I'm like, well, okay. So I slow down to probably about 45 or something because I didn't want to hit the bear. Move over into the right lane so there's some space between us in case the fucking thing decides to jump out or whatever. So I'd be able to stop. As I get closer, I see that it's not a bear. It's a fucking wolf. It's the biggest wolf I've ever seen. And I'm from northern Minnesota in the woods. I've seen wolves. I've seen timber wolves. This was bigger than that. And it was black and shaggy. It had this really shaggy fur. And it was so big that as I drove past this thing in my 85 Cutlass Sierra, its head was tilted down a little bit as it looked me in my fucking eyes as I drove past it. And it had red eyes, and they were like not normal eyes. So it's got these fucking red eyes, right? And it's snarling. And as I'm driving past it, it's looking me dead in the eye. And our eyes lock. I felt like it knew me, right? And that doesn't make any sense. But I had that distinct feeling. And I hit the locks, the power locks on the car, which also didn't make any sense. But I just saw fucking demon, right? And I stomped on the gas, and I went as fast as the car. It was a pretty fast car. It was a fuel-injected V6. But anyway, it could move. And 100 and whatever the fuck for good note. How many miles? I don't know, like probably 5 or 6 miles. And as I looked in my rearview mirror, this thing moved no muscle. It made no move to follow me. It didn't even follow me with its head as I went past it. But it watched me. So I was an atheist before I saw that thing. And then I saw it. And I was like, well, I just saw a fucking demon, right? And if demons are real, then I don't know anything. So that kind of cracked open my perception to be like, okay, so pretty much anything can be real. But this bird that was flapping and not moving was in the same general vicinity. I bet it was probably within 30 miles of that same spot. Central Minnesota, around Hinckley. Maybe there's some weird shit that is happening there. But what else would I be talking about? The Miami Mall. And I don't remember if I mentioned this when I did the reading about it or not. But there was definitely a cover-up in the Miami Mall. And to this day, there has been zero security footage that has been released. And this was in a mall. Every fucking store, every entrance, every food court and hallway is under video surveillance 24 hours a day, right? Zero surveillance footage. There were 70 cop cars, so I don't know how many police officers, no body cam footage. Now, they say that it was a bunch of teenagers fighting with sticks. This is another way that you know that it was a cover-up. Because if that were true, the right-wing news would plaster this shit all over the place, right? Oh, look what has become of our country. Look what the youth is doing as they're fucking causing all of this chaos in our shopping malls. It would have been all over the place. Nothing, like literally nothing. And that's how you know that there was a fucking real cover up, whatever was happening there. Once my reading connection clears up or whatever the fuck, I also want to do a reading on the Peru stuff because there has been a bunch of eyewitness accounts and reports of these really weird alien things. Well, they don't know if they're aliens, but these things that fly around on things that are like magic carpets. And they wear like this black armor. They apparently look like the Green Goblin in the Spider-Man movies, and they fly in pairs, and it's just super weird. Um, they apparently have abducted some people there, and the people there have guns, so they shot at these things, and you can hear like a metallic tink as they're wearing some kind of armor, flying around on some kind of fucking hovercraft like magic carpet. But I want to do a reading on that, and maybe it is connected to this Miami Mall like shadow creature incident that is being 100% fucking covered up. Um, yeah, I suppose that's all I really have to say for now. But hopefully something is going to change and the reading connection is going to clear up. But this was true yesterday too. I was trying to do readings on whatever the next Black Swan event is going to be, and the readings just didn't make any fucking sense, like literally none. And it has happened before when I've looked at topics that were, um, I think, being obscured in some sort of, since what I do is like metaphysical, I guess, they would be obscured in a metaphysical way. And it could be that these two topics are both obscured that way, but we'll find out. So I'm going to try it again. Hopefully this shit clears up tomorrow. But if not, you're going to hear a lot of coffee and smoke with Fergus's coming up. But I guess that's what we have for today. Peace.